Hey everyone, my name is Neil Karski and I'm the CEO of Patient Engine, a seven-figure digital marketing, lead conversion, and coaching agency for high-ticket aesthetics providers. And I would like to personally welcome you to the Aesthetic Millionaires Show, where we sit down with industry entrepreneurs to talk about their personal journeys and discuss proven growth strategies. My genuine hope is that through this podcast, we can create more success stories in this industry and help more business owners scale past their competition. Enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined today by the lovely Maylin Estevez. She's the CEO of Vanity Consultants. She has built a seven-figure aesthetics practice. She lives in Miami, and today we're going to dive into her story. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
And before we get into your company, Vanity Consultants, I really want to just jump into your journey with aesthetics because that's what brought to you here. That's how now you're able to help aesthetics practices make their business better. When did you get into aesthetics, and how did you get into aesthetics?
So the real background starts straight out of high school when I went into, receptionist, office manager as OBGYN. Then I went into the fashion industry, and then from the fashion industry, a divorce led me to plastic surgery sales, right? And that's really where everything kind of was curated as far as the aesthetics aspect. In that time frame, around 2015, I would say, a lot of plastic surgeons did not ever want to hear the words non-invasive. Like, it was something that was like dead to their ears. And I figured out with the plastic surgeon I was working for at the time that was going to bring him in well over seven figures in additional consistent revenue when he was, doing reconstructive surgery in another hospital or doing surgery in the OR and so forth. And I proved it by bringing in certain devices and so forth. Fast forward to 2 to 3 years later, I ended up finding an investor, opened up my own med spas. We ended up transitioning it into a franchisable method, which we launched it was 3 of them. Then COVID hit, I dissolved my partnership, and that's really where I started my consulting journey because I wanted to help others be successful in the aesthetic industry without having to hit, that wall that you hit when you just don't know what you're doing, right? But the passion really started around that time frame and in that journey.
Okay. So you're working in a plastic surgeon's office. You realized, hey, you need to add aesthetics because that's going to help you bring recurring revenue. It's sort of complementary to the business model. What led to that though? Besides the fact, like, hey, you could make more money, right?
Yeah. So there was always a need, and at the time, and a lot of individuals have zero idea that patient care coordinators for plastic surgeons really work off of commission, right? So it's all on how you treat your patients and how you make them feel, which is one of the specialties that Vanity is able to offer, other practices. But with that being said, so for example, you'd have a plastic surgery patient post-operative worried about their scars, right? Well, now we have a laser that can help you with that once you're fully healed. Let's integrate that package with your actual surgical procedure so that once you heal, it's already prepaid, it's already pre-planned, and we take you on the journey so that, number one, you don't have high pigmentation. Number two, you speed up your healing process. And number three, we create a one-stop shop. So instead of having to go and get, your lasers or Botox and injectables elsewhere, let's all do it in one facility and at the same time as your surgery. A lot of patients were flying in and out, right? So it was really a light bulb that I had when a rep came in and they just kept being dismissed. And I was just like, why? You're leaving money on the table. This is cash flow.
A lot of people, I think it's interesting that you bring up all these reps. So how did you know? So you're like, hey, because like people in the industry, they don't like reps for the most part because there's a lot of good sales reps. But then once they sell you the device, they don't provide you with the right training, support, or resources to be successful with the device. So how'd you know that, as a manager of this practice, because this is before you started your own business, you were like, hey, trust me, like I'm going to help you invest into these different products and services. How did you know it was going to be successful? Like, how did you know? Like, I know like existing clients were asking for it, but like you can kind of exhaust these existing clients. It's like, with what I do is helping to get new patients in to fill that gap. But how did you know like this is going to work? Because you were, you were willing to take that risk. How did you sell your boss at the time?
So the beautiful thing about it was I actually wasn't a manager at this practice. I was just a patient care coordinator. So I was just selling plastic surgery. So for me, coming out of a divorce with 2 children and really just having to go from zero to hero, I was like, how can I make more money? That's the honest to God truth. I was like, this seems like it's something that will work. And it was it was almost like the universe put that representative in front of me versus the front desk personnel. And I just listened to what that particular rep had to offer. And I was like, I'm going to get you the meeting. I reached out to the doctor. I was like, hey, we really need to just sit down. I feel very strongly that I could sell this. I'll incorporate it into the packages. Just give it a shot. Like, we're all going to make a lot of money and we're going to give so many solutions. And he just trusted me because from the minute I started working for this particular plastic surgeon, I always ran. I don't believe in walking. I just believe in just leaping, right? Like you got to chase the money. Money loves speed, right? And patients love results and how you make them feel. So I combined all of it. And sure enough, it worked. They were amazing machines. It was, I believe the brand was Cynosure at the time, and they were amazing products, and they complemented the surgeries that the doctor was performing in the practice so elegantly. It made so much sense. So then that trickled into brokering another deal with a skincare line. So now we have lasers and skincare line along with garments and so forth. So that's how I started increasing the revenue of the practice, the flow and the referral base of the patients that were coming in. And we just took off from there.
Okay. How did you take off? You said you were using services and products to solve more pain points, right? How did you guys increase your referrals, right? Because that's something a lot of practices struggle with is like, one, like even asking, well, they forget to ask for referrals, but like, how did you, what kind of like maybe 3 key mechanisms did you put in place to drive more of that growth besides adding those products and services?
So what I did is exactly what I show all of my clients as well. It's just building rapport, right? Developing a genuine connection with the person that's in front of you. Asking as many questions as possible so that you could get to the nitty-gritty of why they're there, what their end goal is as to what it is that they're looking for, right? Are they there for an anniversary to look or feel better, whatever the case may be, and then curate it like if you're speaking to a family member, right? So you're gathering information, you're giving as much information as you can, and in your mind, you're processing what is the best deal that you're going to quickly put together for this particular patient. But in turn, I want to let the patient know that she or he is not only my actual friend and I'm here to help them and give them quality and value and all of the above, but I also want them to be able to feel comfortable to send me business, right? So I would always end every conversation with, how does that sound? And, do you happen to know of anybody, whether it's a family, a friend, or anybody that would want similar services or something along the lines? Because we're just about to launch a membership program and I'd love to put you on my waiting list so that you start achieving some points. Whatever would work at the moment so that I could I'm gifting them something, but I'm asking for something in return. So I was always redirecting the conversation based on its starting point, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. And you utilizing reciprocity to drive those referrals, which I think is important. Like, hey, I want you to introduce me to somebody else who can use my help because I have gotten you really good results. And also I will do X, Y, and Z to compensate you before you even do that.
Yeah.
Kyle.
And sometimes, sorry to interrupt, but it just like, I just remembered, like, there was even sometimes that you didn't even have to do like a reverse psychology. The patients just gravitated towards that personal human interaction that they would just genuinely send the referrals, right? Because they feel comfortable. Sales is all about how you make somebody feel, right? So it happened organically as well, more than anything.
Gotcha. So how much were you able to grow that practice, and how fast, at least on the aesthetic side of things?
So in a span of 3 years, I was able to grow that my department of that practice, which was plastic surgery and non-invasives and aesthetics in general. I was able to grow it to roughly about 5 million, give or take. The exact number I can't tell you because I don't quite remember. I mean, it was years ago. But I will tell you, I left gracefully. I love them to death. They're still my friends till this day, and it opened up the doors to open up my med spas and everything else that came after.
Gotcha. What made you decide that you wanted to start your own med spa? Was it, hey, like, I want to become an entrepreneur and now I have actually the blueprint because I did it for somebody else. I want to do it for myself. Let's talk about more of that.
The crazy thing is that I actually thought I had the blueprint at the time. And then I was the one to run into so many mistakes, because one thing is when you work for somebody and the house is already built. And another thing is when you're building the house from scratch, right? So now I have the blueprint and I could go mega speed, but because I opened up my own practice from scratch and I went from A to Z, blood, sweat, tears, 14-hour days. And really what made me get to that entrepreneurial state of mind was I always seek financial freedom, because I couldn't be confined to just reporting or being capped at a certain amount, or, just not being able to come in and out whenever I felt like it. In essence, because I'm a single mom with 2 kids, right? Little did I know when I opened up my med spa, I was going to work a lot more.
Right. Yeah, you bring up a good point.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, like, when you work for somebody, they've probably gone through a lot of these struggles and trials and tribulations but so you decided to become an entrepreneur. Let's talk about some challenges first that you faced, that you were able to successfully resolve, and then let's talk about like that journey. Like, how did it start? What services did you start with? How did you market? How did you train your teams? All that good stuff.
Yeah. So when I started my med spas, I literally started from scratch. Like the design, the logo, the build out, knocking down walls, getting permits, licenses, building the actual packages. My biggest mistake when I opened up the med spa, my first location, was I did too many services. I literally it kind of went a little bit dark, sorry. When I opened it up, I just felt like I needed to offer everything versus just specifically focusing on one niche. And I will never recommend that for anybody. Focus on one niche, the highest ticket seller that works for you, maximize that, and then gradually start introducing so that you make some room for excitement so that your clients get excited every quarter to come back for more, right? Now we have this exciting new thing and so forth, right? That's my one mistake. My second mistake was having a business partner that I didn't genuinely know too authentically. I just wanted to get the investment deal. At the time, I didn't have my own funding. And I just wanted to get that investment deal so badly with, my business plan and so forth, that knowing who you do business with is so, so important to your ongoing success, because it'll either make you or break you. It'll be the death of you in a toxic environment that trickles down to your staff members, to a toxic environment when you go back home to just, be alone basically, and it consumes you. So know your business partner and don't over deliver. Don't have too many services all at once because it's hard to manage it.
Yeah. So services, business partner. What was the third one?
Oh, well, the third one is actually super important. If you can utilize a mentor, a consultant, somebody that has gone through these hurdles, you'll prevent a lot of issues, right? You'll prevent what I like to call a hamster wheel, right? That you're just spinning your wheels trying to figure out how to train your staff, how to market, how to bring in leads, how to have meetings with everybody that shows up at your doorstep that you need as an intricate part of your business. How to go out there to network and so forth. You're only one person for everybody. So I feel like having an expert that's able to guide you and take off a lot of the heavy lifting so that you could focus on your brands, on the flow, and really on the numbers and the quality that you're giving is super important for a long-lasting, successful medical facility.
For sure. I always tell, my clients that we're here to help you skip the learning curve, because we've been there, we've done that. Our clients have been there and done that. It's also my job as somebody who has seen, we've worked with over 1,000 businesses. I have spas myself, to be able to, in the best way, scalable way, disseminate the information so we are making less mistakes as we go through in our journeys with my client. Ecosystem. So you bring up a good point, right? We trade time for money, money for time. So you pay to, either minimize risk, save time, make more money, and you pay for lessons, right? Or being able to learn things without going through the experience of those lessons. So you started your business. Where was the business? In Florida?
So it was in Florida. It's funny because my investor at the time told me, you need to find a location in this area, which was like an hour away from where I live and where my book of business was. And he's like, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. We'll continue to monopolize. Oh, we made it. It was in Pembroke Pines, the first location. And I made sure to have that place flooded.
So Pembroke Pines, you started, was it just you?
So it was just me and my business partner at the time. And then in addition to that, I had 2 front desks that I hired, and then a part-time nurse practitioner that I had come in twice a week, and then the esthetician. That was my whole team.
And what services did you start with?
Oh, we overdid it. We totally overdid it.
So you started with the body, face.
Everything. We did laser hair removal. We did skin rejuvenation. We did facials. We did massages. We did weight loss programs, customized protocols, bioidentical hormones, PRP. Oh my God, you name it. There was even a time that we did lashes. Why did I bring in lashes? I just don't understand.
Did you do body sculpting at all at that time or no?
We did. We did body sculpting. salty and everything.
So you're like, hey, listen, like I need to be a one-stop shop right away. And that was one of the lessons, like not everything is going to be profitable or scalable. Not everything's going to have good margins. Not everything's going to sell. Not everything's going to market well. And we just started and I have all this overhead.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but you grew it into a 7-figure at practice. So you must have been doing something right. So let's get into that a little bit. When the tides start turning for you guys, where you were like, hey, like, I think we're getting a good grip on this. We got a good client base. People are coming in, people are buying, people are referring. Let's walk through some of that, the uphill climb a little bit.
So again, that was my biggest mistake, is just wanting to do everything all at once, right? So then I started realizing, I was like, what is selling the most, right? What is my clientele reaching out to me, particularly knowing that I'm not a provider and doing all these long, far drives to come to my med spa? What is the high ticket value, right? A lot of it was weight loss and customized protocols, right? For the functional medicine side of it. And then another 50% of it was primarily on vanity, right? On Botox, fillers, just about anything and everything that was anti-aging. So I started eliminating a lot of the things from the menu. I eliminated full throttle, the lashes, the brows. I eliminated facials. I only had facials when they were purchased with packages that complemented a high ticket item. So I focused primarily on the numbers, where we were going to get the most as far as the numbers and the value that we're able to give to the patient almost instantly, right? Because everything else just takes time and everything else is just fluff. So I started eliminating everything and focusing on just those 3 core things. And before we knew it, we had, everybody booked out months in advance.
How?
By just navigating proper conversations. So what I did was I brought in what I learned and what I curated in plastic surgery. So when I was in plastic surgery, I didn't have any training, which is what I tell so many of my clients. I'm like, it is important to train your coordinators and not just go off of the fact that they think that they could sell, because they need to sell your brands adequately and the way that you want them to sell it, right? And what that means is through emotional intelligence. So the way I was able to navigate it in plastic surgery was by having a genuine conversation with the individual in front of me, that I was able to make them my friend. And I got all of those steps from the fashion industry prior to going into plastic surgery. So I twisted it into medicine. I took all of those pillars that I had learned in my journey and I put it into the med spa industry. So instead of you just going in thinking, I'm just going to go in for Botox, or I'm going to go in for, I don't know, to lose weight, I would have you sit down with a wellness coach or with the nurse practitioner to go over why you need the things that you need based on a genuine conversation. So it was a conversation kind of like what we're doing here. And that's how I trained all of my staff members. And that's how everybody had to sell at all times. In addition to that, I also took it very seriously, the physical appearance. And what I mean by that is well-tailored scrubs, clean nails, your face put together, your hair put together, whether you're a male or a female, all those little things matter. Hospitality matters, how you're making them feel. You can't expect somebody to spend $5,000 on a protocol if you're not making them feel the elegance, the worthiness, the value, like give them luxury, right? So that's how I was able to do it. And that's part of like what I teach now.
What kind of marketing channels did you build into your practice to get that, to stimulate that growth?
So back then, marketing wasn't as feasible as it is now. I would say we live in a generation now where there's so many tools, like even your own business. I looked into it. I'm like, wow, this is genius. This is amazing, right? As far as like, lead gens and so forth. Back then we had to pay SEO. We had to pay the Google search engines, right? But they didn't really bring much And then we had to do in-house marketing. What I focused on was influencers. I brought in a bunch of models. I brought in just about any influencer. Let's say it was a food critic. I wanted them in there. I know this is gonna sound intense, guys. Bear with me. There's something to the magnets. I don't know how in Miami, everybody knows everybody. I brought in two porn stars. Two big porn stars. Why? Because porn stars like to look good. So those are the money makers, and then they bring their referrals. So I focused a lot on influencers, models, actors, actresses, NFL players, and NBA players, the porn star industry. Anybody that likes to look and feel good, please come to my med spas. And I focused on it through my social media page that at the time I had grown it to be, I think at the time I had it like 1 million followers, my personal one.
Wow.
And then I would anything I would post on my personal one of my business, I was posting it on my business page as well, which was the med spa. And then I would make sure that all the influencers, it didn't matter who it was that was going to get trade for service, they had to on the spot do a story, do a live, do a collaborative post, and so forth. So that's how I built up the Instagram page, Facebook page. It was at the time it wasn't TikTok. It was Facebook and Instagram. I feel like I'm missing one. Oh, Twitter was kind of good, but it didn't really do that much. But at that time, that's what really worked for us. And then going to all these networking events and really bringing in that Miami vibe of it's a who's who and who you know and how you interact with individuals and being the life of the party, right? So everybody just wants to go to your center just to say that they went to your center. And it didn't even have to do with results at one point.
What did you, how did you engage these influencers? Did you offer them, any free treatments in exchange for promotion? How did it look like with them?
Yeah. So in the beginning, I would really cater towards these influencers. I would go out and network, right? So I would go and choose what were the most popping places, right? Like in Miami, it's normally, let's say, Sea Spice or Kiki on the River, and it always changes, right? Where am I going to meet the most people? Where can I get a group together? And maybe 6 individuals might be enticed to go to my med spa. And I would talk about it very proudly, right? That's one aspect of what I do at influentially in Miami, right? Secondary to that is when I would see an influencer that knew somebody that I knew from my past, from my present, and so forth, I would tell them, hey, get me that influencer into my practice, let them know I'm going to take care of them. I'll even send a limo out to them, whatever the case may be. And in that situation back then, it was in groups, right? Because they all like run around like in a pact, right? Okay, come group, a model calling group, right? No problem. Let's give you a VIP treatment. I would do the trade for service. I would broker the deals with, let's say, Allergan, MERS, any of these reps to give me additional product because I had a model coming in and we needed it and they were going to make us money so that we could rebuy from them. They never would say no because they knew we would end up selling it. And that's a negotiation that I used to do with them. I don't know if they're still open to all those things now, but it's worth it. Talk to them. Let's see what they say and so forth, right? It would end up being a free service, but in turn, because they would post and they would get content that we could utilize and so forth, we were getting 5 to 6 patients off of just one post. And then when they post again, the phones would start ringing again and again. And I was always changing the influencers. I was, if today I had a bikini model in there, tomorrow I might have an NBA player in there, just on an IV playing video games in the IV room. You know what I mean? So it was always changing the demographics, and then it became the place that everybody just wanted to go.
Yeah. How did you find those influencers? Were you just reaching through your personal brand and social media?
Networking and through social media, yeah. Networking, I talk to everybody. I go to, like I said, the best events, anything and everything. And then through social media. I mean, I personally have a lot of connections, like me. So my connections also help me, but my connections are like, okay, connect me with this person, connect me with that person. I'll take care of them, VIP treatment and so forth. And then you become friends with all these people, and then you develop that rapport, and then that's how everybody just starts coming together.
Yeah. So you utilized your network, your networking skills, your circle and sphere of influence, and your social media, which you were able to grow your personal brand and utilize it for business. And then you got in front of these influencers, you invited them to try the treatments, and you would and you would get free products and services from your vendors. And then you would also have these guys post to their social networks, which created a buzz, and it compounded over time, and more people saw it, more people wanted to have that experience and live vicariously through these influencers. And that's what you would say was a big success factor behind your growth, correct?
That was a huge success factor. And for example, so whenever I do my grand opening parties, or when I do um a Botox and bubbles party, for example, it wasn't just your basic, oh, just come in, have a service, and let's just put some hors d'oeuvres. No, I would do an influencer event. Only the elite of the elite, the best of the best would be invited. The secondary one would be my VIP patients that I had already developed that relationship with, like in the vault of the high rollers that like to spend. And then my third event would be for just about anybody and everybody that wanted to know more. So I would always create these teasers, but every single event was beautifully done, right? I had like a moving robot that would had my logo promoting. Um, I would have a balloon garland. It would almost feel like it was something new and exciting. And really what the new and exciting thing was let's host a party. Let's let you know that you mean the world to me by just being here, right? And that created buzz too. So I always switched up my marketing strategies, and everything that I always dreamed of in my ongoing brain, I kind of executed as time went on to change it up so that everybody would want to know more.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And ultimately, you took that experience you've had in the surgical practice of adding aesthetics, growing that to seven figures. You decided to start your own. You got into some unforeseen challenges, but that helped you learn. So you simplified your business a little bit. You focus more of your efforts on marketing and sales, making sure you have an amazing sales process. The visual branding experience, like you said, getting people to look put together, to present themselves well, because people do remember their experiences, like you said. And that first experience, that first impression is extremely important.
So important.
And you focused a lot on building your personal brand, which helped your business, and then and influencers, right? I always think it's amazing when I have this interviews and talking to people who I think like right now you almost need to have paid ads, right? Like you almost have to have paid ads to scale your business. Like I know that's how I scaled my spas, but like, or you're looking at another 3 to 5 years of really, like for you it was like, hey, like it wasn't a short journey to build your brand, right? And it was constant work, posting content, the right content, building your sphere of influence, networking, getting yourself out there in person, digitally, all that stuff. So you had that. So you went through that journey, which is awesome. And like you said, like I think you would agree with me. Like right now, if paid ads would be the fastest way to get in front of that audience.
100%.
And
paid ads all day.
paid ads all day. Let's
Where
go.
we're at right now in life, yeah. I mean, you could still use the influencers, but in essence, you gotta really know what you're doing to navigate these influencers, because they're not gonna post. They're gonna come in. They're gonna use your products, and they're not gonna bring anybody in, or they're fake influencers. You got to know which ones are the real ones, right? That are really going to influence your business. That's the other part of it. But I'm with you. Paid ads are the way to go now in digital marketing.
At what point did you decide, hey, this is, I would like to exit? You were doing well, you had a nice brand, you've done well for yourself. What kind of triggered that? I know that, there's people who, like, for example, for me, I've been B2B for a long time. I've been helping business owners to scale their businesses through the advertising and sales training and coaching. And then I decided I wanted to help more women through aesthetic services, not invasively. So you kind of went the opposite way. You were B2C. Now you kind of got into B2B, and we'll get into that in a second. But at what point were you like, hey, I'm ready to exit this venture?
I was ready to exit when COVID hit. And that's actually when I exited in 2020. Again, I didn't see eye to eye with my business partner. It was very toxic for me, for the brand that I was building, for my staff members. It was so stressful, something that I was so passionate about and I loved so much. And I put 14-hour days, time I'll never get back. I just had an epiphany and I was like, nothing is worth it for me. I'm not with my kids enough. I'm stressed out all the time. This is a bad business partner. So I tried buying him out. It didn't work. And I was just like, you know what? Before we end up really crossing roads, I got to go. And I have a bigger calling. I can help others. Just buy me out. And I just want to go into helping others. And that's really like my exit. And I loved it because I truly knew that I always wanted freedom, like just freedom, like to do whatever I wanted to do, but not in a standstill brick and mortar that was taking all of me.
Fair enough. So you decided to start your company, Vanity Consultants. You work with medical aesthetics clinic owners. Tell us a little bit more about how, what are your strengths and where core areas where you are able to really move the needle for aesthetics owners who are looking to grow their businesses, who are looking to make changes, who are looking to fill the gaps?
So it really when I went into opening up Vanity Consultants, it started for just that, just the aesthetics or plastic surgery, you name it. It turned into anybody in medicine, ironically enough. So it's turned into a force that my company has been able to help well over 92 practices in the span of about 3 years now, scale rapidly in a short period of time. And really, it's through creating flows and processes that are curated towards the practice's individual needs, because not every practice has the same need or deficiency, right? So that's what we study and what we correct. And then we bring in the right key players, or we train their current staff members to go from zero to hero, right? And I like to call them rock stars when I'm done with them, that I'm able to polish them. And most importantly is the sales aspect. A lot of providers don't realize that your craft is amazing, but your craft is only going to take you so far. Everybody from providers to front desk to medical assistant to anybody and everybody in the practice needs to know how to sell at all times. And I'm not talking about car salesmen, talking about emotional intelligence, developing a connection where it flows naturally. And that's what we teach. And those are our strengths. And that's how we're able to help so many practices. And I don't scale it to the level that I've been approached multiple times, because I like keeping this company, of the many that I own, this one in particular, I like to keep it very mom and pop. I like to keep it very customizable, that you need me and I'm there. I only take on about 5 clients per quarter, let's just say, depending on their contracts, because there is no way possible that if I was to have over 100 clients, that they were all going to get the same service that they're able to get when it's one-on-one time with me, right? So that's how we've been able to grow it. And it's really just gone through referral base, through the reps, through everybody that just prefers me and my company business.
Where do you think that you guys really excel as far as like, what are some of the biggest pain points that you think you solved for your clients that really, like you said, helped them move the needle in the right direction?
Creating processes and flows within their organization, from front desk to the flow of the medical assistant helping the provider, let's just say as an example, right? Restructuring what they're accustomed to what's going to work within their practice. But most importantly is overcoming objections and actually showing the team how to sell. Sales, 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 sales. And where we thrive the most is that we connect the dots. If my patient lacks marketing, I'm going to I'm sorry, not my patient, my client lacks marketing, I'm going to connect my client with the right marketing team that fits their budget. We're affiliated with a lot of different brands and a lot of different businesses. If they need AI, we got the support for them. And if we don't, we're going to find it, and we're going to find it within the budget that makes sense so that they're always profiting. We look at their numbers to see if they're saving in their pharmaceutical purchases, let's say semaglutide, trizepatide, compound pharmacy, right? Or even with medical supplies. And we're already partnered up with additional locations that are able to get them better pricing. Right there alone, their profits start increasing. We look to see what are their high ticket items that they could be selling a lot more of, or what they're really niche driven, right? What brings their main clientele in, right? And then we focus on that so that we 10x it, and we continuously sell that one product so that they continue to see their numbers go up. So it's a lot of different things that we do, and it's based on where they're at and what they need. And it's always just worked, but it's always worked because it's customized to that client. It's not a one size fits all. It's not like, oh, I'm going to get you a bunch of leads. Now you do what you can. No, one part is getting like the leads, right? Let's say we're working together with marketing, we're giving strategies, we're analyzing the situation. Now, when you have that lead, how do you sell that lead? How do you make that lead happy so that individual continues to come back? Because it's all about patient retention.
Yeah. So just to summarize a little bit, you create processes, both operationally, and anything internal and patient facing, to create a better seamless experience, one for how to practice functions and the actual interactions with the clients or patients. To sales training, massive emphasis on sales training, understanding services, where you should be focusing more of your time and efforts. And then also, I guess, vendor relationships, where it's like, hey, we have the right partners to help you succeed. How do we build that ecosystem around you to help you meet your goals? Is that
exactly?
Awesome. So let's, what are some key like trends or advice that you can provide for anybody, for any listeners or any med spa entrepreneurs who are listening to the show? Maybe a couple of things that you're seeing that, like, these are some of these things that we need to capitalize on, right? To stay competitive, to stand out, to differentiate, to continue to be profitable. What would you say those things are?
I would say, and I feel like there's a lack of it recently, is I would say for providers to go to the seminars and the events that you're being invited to so that you learn what's coming out. What are the new trends that are coming so that you're already forecasting and prepared for the future? A lot of providers stick to what they already know and disregard that we're constantly evolving and we're constantly growing. So the minute that you stop educating yourself on what's coming, you can't expect your business to really make a difference, right? And then secondary to that, is letting go of the fear. Fear is speaking to your patients and letting them know what they actually need versus what they want, only delivering versus what they want. And to let go of fear of, oh, I'm going to probably make a bad decision with overhead or with this or with that. How do you know that? You can 10x your money by just learning a little bit more. I feel like a lot of times lately, everything is very closed-minded and the world is constantly evolving. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You're in the same industry. Every 2 seconds, there's a new device, a new method. Like, why not be up to speed so that you're 10 steps ahead of the game? Right. And sometimes you could be ahead of the game without even having to reinvest into new technology, just by learning and beating them at it. Right. So a perfect example would be when the Morpheus, right? When InMode came out with Morpheus, and it was this whole big trend of Morpheus is the best, Morpheus is the best. I don't disagree. It's amazing, but it's not the only machine out there. PRP can do the same results, more sessions, right? A regular platelet rich plasma with the right microneedling pen. And you develop your own customized protocols, marketing strategies that actually bring people in and so forth, you know?
Yeah. So Vanity Consultants, what's next for you? Who are you looking to connect with? You know, what kind of a impact would you like to have in this industry?
I think I just want to focus primarily on sales.
I don't blame you.
I know.
Do you also assist with any sort of like best practices or execution for like staff assessments and helping to analyze if you actually have the right staff? Because some staff even, you know, we need to make sure we have the right staff. We need to make sure that they want to sell. We need to make sure that they have the right commission structure in place. Then you have the processes. Then you have the services, right? So do you kind of dive into that as well at a deeper level to help owners, which are frequently disconnected from their managers and from their teams that are client facing, to figure out where those gaps are?
I love that you literally just said that, because nobody understands what you just said because it happens every single day. They are so disconnected with their craft that they don't realize that the manager could be pushing more. The manager could be reassessing the roles. Maybe you have a front desk personnel that's built to be a patient care coordinator, right? Let's say we're talking about a plastic surgery center, right? Maybe it's just a matter of shifting roles or redirecting where one individual's position is and analyzing that they might be better or stronger in another position. So those are all key factors that go into successful sales within the medical industry. It all starts with your operations, with the who's who, and understanding your staff members. So what I tend to do is I do a full-blown training to see what type of personality is in the room, right? Like, who are you as an individual answering phones? I want to know, are you a type A personality, a type B personality? Are you more on the aggressive side, more on the vulnerable side? You need to understand this with your staff members so that you understand how to speak to them and understand what to gain out of them. Because you might have, and I've seen it in a lot of the practices I've rehabilitated and that I've launched, they tend to have to reposition their staff members or even find new staff members, because some of them are just getting through the cracks. And then they're not able to see that because there's too many moving parts. And then once we reposition, we train, and we really make rock stars out of these individuals, that's where the growth starts to happen. You can't just walk into a practice and say, hey, I'm going to teach you how to sell all of a sudden. What if that person's not even built for sales? What if that person's built to just bill insurances, let's say, because that just happened to me recently, literally. So you have to do like a whole shift.
Let's get in a couple fun questions here as we come to the end here. I see a couple luxury brands behind you. What is your favorite luxury brand?
Chanel
There you go.
and Louis.
All right, that's two. Okay, we're getting too crazy. Let's see. If let's do another fun one. What's the least favorite thing about you non-physically?
My least favorite thing is
If you had to change one thing about yourself, what would it be? I know these questions are irrelevant, but that's what makes this show even more fun.
no, I love it. It's super fun. My least favorite thing is that I'm always like so go and busy. Like I want to slow down a notch. That's my least favorite thing is the go.
And then, where can people find you if they want to connect with you online?
They could find me on all of my social media platforms, which is Vanity Consultants, or they can email us at info@Vanity Consultants or May@Vanity Consultants, and we'll be more than happy to schedule a call and
Awesome.
help them out.
Wait, Maylin, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Your awesome segment,
Thank
and
you.
we love Vanity Consultants.